What's good, everybody? It's your boy Todd Smith here once again with yet another episode of No Gimmicks Podcast alongside my tag team partner, Dale Clifford, out there in Fernley, Nevada. Dale, what is good, my man?
The main event of SummerSlam absolutely delivered. We had a 10-match card and a lot of title changes, which left some people when we were halfway through the card and all of the title matches had title changes. Everybody's like, does WWE think title changes make for a good pay-per-view? And then we kind of had the conclusion of SummerSlam where no titles changed hands, including the Fatal 4-Way for the Universal Championship, which begins our good, bad, ugly review.
Yes, sir, it does. So welcome to our good, the bad, and the ugly review of SummerSlam from 2017 from both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. So we're going to go ahead and set it off here with the main event. We had a Fatal 4-Way between Brock Lesnar, who was the champion, taking on Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. So the good for this one, Braun Strowman truly has arrived. He had an outstanding performance in the main event tonight, and he has shown himself to be a main event caliber performer. Dale, do you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. I was like, I love Braun Strowman, but as he was kind of coming out, my wife's like, hopefully he wins tonight. And I'm like, you know what? I love Braun Strowman, but I just don't know if he's ever going to carry the championship.
Yeah, you know, there's some doubt about that. My one thing that I think I pointed out to you prior to the broadcast is I said he's come a long way. However, he still has a ways to go, because one of the things that I noticed was the few moves that he does very well for a man his size. That drop kick is outstanding. The power slam is very good, you know, and just the impact of the moves that he delivers. But my God, he spammed the hell out of that running power slam. Now, I know that Davey Boy Smith will be somewhere smiling up there in heaven, but all I got to say is the dude's got to add a few more power moves to his repertoire there just to kind of expand his moveset a little bit.
But you were right. It was like, you were right. He was the star of the night. I do want to say that it was fun watching Braun Strowman just throw all Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar around like rag dolls. It's amazing because like none of those men are small guys at all. And Braun just picked them up like they were pieces of paper.
Yep. I love the one spot during the match where Roman charged at him. He literally just shoved him down. Just kind of like, sit your ass down. Anyway, moving on here to the bad. We knew basically that there was no chance that anyone but Brock would win this match. Because of his contract situation, we knew that he was not going to lose the match and have to leave the WWE. Also, the error that came from out of the Barclays Center during their advertisement, where they actually advertised Brock as the WWE Universal Champion appearing on this upcoming Monday Night Raw tomorrow night. So it's one of those things where we know in the wrestling business, card is always subject to change, but they had to have done that for a reason. Dale, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's one of those tough things. The big thing was the speculation that obviously Heyman had laid down. If Brock loses, he's leaving WWE. Everybody kind of knows that Lesnar's pretty much every year is kind of contracted all the way through WrestleMania. So like he ain't leaving after SummerSlam. And then obviously you bring up the advertisement, which again, sometimes give away things, sometimes they don't. But yeah, you just add those two things and you really feel like there was no way Brock wasn't leaving Universal Champion, which is kind of interesting because there was a lot of talk going in that WWE wanted to take the title off of him because he's the part-timer, and they thought that Monday Night Raw needed a full-time guy carrying the title every week on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, because I had heard, a lot of people say that their favorite to win the match was Samoa Joe. However, I just didn't quite, see that happening. I think Joe will definitely, capture the WWE Universal title at some point, but just now was not the time. So moving on here to the ugly of this match, Brock turns purple, yet once again resembling Grimace, a swole version of Grimace from McDonald's. Dale, you got a chuckle out of that. I think so did April prior to the broadcast when I ran that one by you guys. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the one thing is like when Samoa Joe locks in that coquina clutch on Brock Lesnar, it is a sight to see for sure. Is like in how much he just kind of changes color. But I also, one of the things I thought for all of the big power moves that, again, these were for big men that mainly just do power moves. I thought one of the early moments when Lesnar returned from backstage, he took a spear from Roman where it looked like Roman just hit him, fell to the ground, and then Brock fell over. It was like there was no kind of sell there, and you kind of it kind of looked like maybe Brock hadn't quite got his wind back yet from all of the things that he had to go through of because Braun really beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, hadn't quite cut that second win yet. So moving on here to the next match from SummerSlam 2017, we had the Maharaja Jinder Mahal, who was the WWE champion, taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. So Dale, in this one, the good, Jinder retains with a win over a quality opponent on a pay-per-view. Do you agree about that?
Well, it's like, I guess for his title reign, it's good because the longer it goes, the more quality opponents he gets, the better, I guess, you might feel about him becoming WWE champion since he went from jobber to champion. And he's one of the few, when you look at the 50 that there were, that you can kind of say that about, that really went from a status that was below championship caliber to champion. So beating Shinsuke, who is arguably the biggest international wrestling star there is at SummerSlam with all the international attention is a big thing for Jinder. And we'll see how long this reign for him continues.
Yeah, so now moving on to the bad here, I think it was very important that Jinder has been built up, to look like a strong competitor because he dished out the first loss to Nakamura on the main roster, which we have actually seen on TV. So now you have to say to yourself here, okay, he went over dirty in this match, so the loss does not hurt Nakamura a whole lot, but it's a loss nonetheless. Dale, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things is like he hadn't had enough like wins on the main rosters to where everybody was kind of paying attention. Oh, Nakamura's got this huge streak where he's gone unbeaten. So that's the thing is like he kind of takes the defeat here at SummerSlam, and really no one pays attention to it. It was really the first time he had actually lost it was like taking a pinfall. So it's kind of, I don't know. It seems like it got pushed on the rug, which I guess is an okay thing because now Shinsuke will move forward from it. But you kind of feel like you're trying to figure out where's Shinsuke kind of going here because I know the main roster debut hasn't been great.
No,
he got the big win over John Cena, and you're like, oh, this has to lead to the WWE Championship. It didn't. So now where's he going?
Not yet, at least. So now let's talk about the ending to this match here. We had as the actual finish itself, the Cobra Clutch Slam, which looked very sloppy. Dale, can you elaborate on that for a little bit?
Yeah, Jinder's hit that move several times on Randy Orton and other people that he's defeated since kind of getting the rise to the top, and it just did not seem like he hit it very well here on Shinsuke. It almost kind of felt like he was talking to him about some, I don't know, maybe if he was passing a move or something or not, or they just scrapped it and went home. It just kind of seemed interesting because it felt like he was leaning into Shinsuke and then he lifted up for the move instead of kind of just delivering it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Might very well have been somewhat of a miscommunication there. So moving on to the next match here, we had AJ Styles taking on the face of the United States, Kevin Owens, for the U.S. title, with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. So the good of this one was this was the best match that we have seen from the series between these two. Dale, you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I also think that credit is due to Shane McMahon and how he worked the match as the special guest referee. I just thought he was pinpoint with all of the spots he was supposed to nail. It's like he nailed them. It was a testament to a guy who really doesn't work all the time as a referee to kind of just be in. It didn't seem like he was out of place in any of the spots that you knew he was supposed to hit correctly.
Yes, that's one thing I can say about Shane. Yeah, the dude's not afraid to take a bump. So, yeah, props to him for that. Now, with that being said here, the bad of this match is we most likely are going to get Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. Now, Shane versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania was actually pretty damn good. Do you think that they could duplicate the success of that match with him and Kevin Owens if that's where they're going with this deal?
I think so. Because we'll leave it to Shane to do something to make them to save the match. But we also know that KO is pretty good at delivering in moments. I don't think it will be a terrible match. It's like it's going to kind of be one of those. It ain't going to be technically savvy, but because it's got Shane, and we know that Shane doesn't quite deliver all the technical stuff very well. But I do believe that KO and Shane could deliver a solid match, yes.
Okay. So now the ugly of this one, I hate to go to the fashion, be the fashion police here, kind of like doing my little Brazango impression here. But I thought that Shane O'Mac's attempt at trying to be stylish with the jersey / referee shirt, that just didn't quite work out. You have any thoughts on that?
Oh, what? You're not going to go snag that one off of WWEshop.com when it shows up?
No. Not me. No.
Yes, I can kind of agree. It's like when you kind of look at it, there really wasn't too much bad about this match. Again, because obviously you had the ref spots, and it's like, and typically it's like in some of the other times, like you might hit on those as being some overly done, but you're like, this is a guy who's coming in as a special guest referee who is basically just hitting the spots he's supposed to hit, is like, and making them look the way they're supposed to look, and it was like, so you can't knock all of the spots that they had there.
Yeah, so now vertical stripes make you look slimmer and horizontal stripes make you look wider, but those vertical stripes are not going to look good on me, so I'm going to pass on that one. So speaking of passing on, let's pass on to the next match here. We had Sheamus and Cesaro, the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, taking on the Reformation of the Shield with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. So for the good for this one, we get the two original members of the Shield reuniting, and it's actually been pretty damn good so far. These two captured the titles in this match here. Dale, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, WWE did a great job of building this. It's like the final night when you were waiting for them to throw the fists, I think it was a little bit overdone. It was like, but it got the huge pop when they finally threw the fists together. And who doesn't like Shield? It was like the Shield's absolutely huge for WWE. It's like they've been beloved since they showed up. So everybody likes all of them together, and two of the three are back together. One interesting note, since we're talking about all three of them, is the point I wanted to bring up. Is all three of them were the exact same colors
of black,
red and black.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
NWO Wolfpack ish.
Yeah,
is like, if you want to go that route, it was like a remodification of their first attempts at the Shield colors. But that's just kind of the thing. It's like a Click-esque move. It's like for all three of them to wear the same colors.
Yeah, my man Seth Rollins went all Deadpool on us tonight with that look that he was sporting. That's something we had talked about prior to the show tonight. So now the bad for this one, there's one, kind of humorous spot where Cesaro retrieved a beach ball from the crowd and just completely flattened it. So now I know you're a gamer just like myself here. This is not Dead or Alive beach volleyball. So what the hell was that doing here in this match, Dale?
I don't know. To me, it is complete disrespect to the talent in the ring when you want to take the time to smack a beach ball around the arena. I tweeted it out that it was also, I just found the irony of them smacking a beach ball around at the beginning of the match, and then later in the match starting a "This is awesome" chant. I was like, the beach ball was never needed. This match was awesome from the very beginning. You have four of the best in the business in WWE going at it for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and you should have been focused from the very beginning.
Yes. Shame on you, crowd out there at the Barclays in Brooklyn. Shame on you. That's the second disrespectful thing y'all have done at 2 straight SummerSlams, because we know how the reaction was for the Universal title with the match with Seth and Finn from last year. Y'all are better than that. So anyhow, moving on here to the ugly. In quite a creative spot, Cesaro was launched into his own tag team partner after being given a Hurricane Runner from the top rope from Seth Rollins. Now, you and I both agreed the spot was sick, but it just looked ugly when Cesaro and Sheamus kind of collided heads there. So, Dale, what do you have to add to that?
No, I get you. It's one of those things is like where it's a unfortunate spot for Cesaro and Sheamus because they end up getting thrown into each other. But just a great athletic move from Seth Rollins, a springboard twist into the Hurricane Rana to fling Cesaro off of the ropes. There's like, and then that was what proceeded into a couple other moves there. Is like, and then the crowd got into the "This is awesome" chants. Like that was kind of where it all started to begin. And that's when I tweeted out, I was like, this match went from the crowd smacking a beach volleyball to a "This is awesome" chant. I was like, we could have removed the beach ball there. Yeah. So yeah, it was like we kind of hit on it as the ugly, but it was just because of the fact that it really was kind of like Cesaro and Sheamus like colliding and then bumping out of the ring. So
It's one of those things where, like I said, you rarely ever see something in the WWE because of like a lot of restrictions that they have on moves and whatnot, where I can say I have never seen that done before. But yes, tonight, kudos to you guys. You guys showed me something that I've never seen done before in that spot. So moving on here to the Demon King, Finn Balor, taking on the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. So for the good for this one, we witnessed the return of the Demon King for the first time in a year, I believe you said. Is that correct?
Well,
So what do you guys think of that?
Yep. That was the thing. It was 1 year ago. It was like SummerSlam was like when he unveiled the Demon King against Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. The next night, he was Finn Balor relinquishing the title. We didn't see the Demon since. So it was basically from SummerSlam to SummerSlam before Demon appearances, much needed. He the paint work that he does is like to get ready for the Demon character is absolutely phenomenal. And this part of his character on the main roster is much needed. It's what's going to catapult him into superstardom. It's just such a shame that he had to have the shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I agree with that because, like I said, this guy, I remember how hyped I was when I heard that the WWE was signing him originally. You think that's something you should see some of the stuff he had prior to coming to WWE when he actually had some of the Marvel characters integrated into his body work, like the Punisher and the Joker and Spawn, or not Spawn. I want to say it's Venom. That's who it was. Some amazing artwork that he does. So now to the bad for this one, I know you're a Bray Wyatt fan here, and we kind of agreed. Bray looked weak in what was a losing effort to Finn. So, Dale, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. It's just interesting. I get it's like they're trying to build up the persona of the Demon King, but for Bray Wyatt, who's been in there with the Undertaker and numerous other big time, he just seemed like he cowered to the Demon, Finn Balor. It's not like Finn is not a big guy, so it just seemed very weak on Bray's part to kind of seem like he was afraid to deal with the Demon.
Yes. Now I must say here, though, getting to the ugly in this match, Bray made his dear old dad IRS proud by hitting Finn with one hell of a snug lariat clothesline that took him way off his feet. Dale, did you catch that, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that is one of the big things that Bray does do is the clothesline is like one of his big things, and it's no surprise really when you understand who his father was and that his father loved the clothesline. It was a finisher, so it's kind of a big. I think it would be a big deal for Bray to be able to hit a good solid clothesline because he would want to continue that lineage.
Yeah. Make sure you pay your taxes. I think we called it the tax write-off, I believe, when he would just rack people with that one. So moving on here, we had Sasha Banks taking on a one Miss Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. So now the good for this one was, although her reign has been cut short, over the past year, we truly have seen the evolution of Alexa Bliss. She's more than just being easy on the eyes. She is actually the complete package now because she's actually got some pretty solid skills in the ring. And you were the one who had kind of alluded to that. So, Dale, what's your thoughts here on that?
Yeah, no, it's one of those tough things. Like you got good, bad, ugly, and then you have two decent looking women in a match. And you're like, really, is there ever going to be an ugly when you got a Sasha Banks Alexa Bliss match? It's like unless they screw up a move, not too likely. It's like, but then that's the thing. It's like Alexa, I think, had been building up to a strong reign, and now you've got the 4-time champion Sasha Banks. Is like, I think it was like this is going to lead to Sasha and Bayley. I believe is where they're going with this. So,
yep, that sounds about right to me. Now, the bad of this one is, as you just alluded to, this is Sasha's 4th run as the women's champion, and I mean, you guys say none of those runs have been very memorable. None of them have really been very long either. I know some have been due to injury. They've been cut short and whatnot. But, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think that she's actually going to keep this one, or is she going to wind up dropping to Bayley fairly soon here?
No, I don't think it's going to go very long. I believe that Bayley probably gets it back. Then there might be a Sasha heel turn too coming from it. I just don't think Sasha's going to keep it very long. They couldn't have Bayley take it from Alexa. It makes sense. It's like have Sasha do it. We'll see. But I do believe that I don't think Sasha's going to keep it very long because, as you said, it's like her previous other title reigns haven't lasted very long. So I would be surprised if this one did had any time frame to it at all.
All right. So now the ugly for this one spot that really particularly stood out to me was Alexa receiving what could have very well been a case of whiplash after she had the back of her head bounce off of the top turnbuckle. That one made me cringe a little bit. Same for you?
Yeah, like I said, it was just like very hard to kind of find an ugly, except for when it comes to a move that you kind of get surprised by. And that was the thing, is like she got flung backwards and kind of did almost the head on every turnbuckle as she went down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, and we kind of both agreed there that definitely was the spot that we highlighted as the ugly from this match, which again is pretty good for both women to kind of, that's where we looked at as the ugly. It was a good solid effort out of both of them.
Yes, things that make you say ouch. So moving on here too, we had Orton taking on Rusev in what was a very quick match. So we're not going to spend too much time on this one. The good basically is that Orton delivered one of the most vicious looking RKOs we've seen in a while, from out of nowhere. Dale, you agree?
Yeah, it was like I tweeted blink and you missed it. Blinked, I missed it.
Yeah.
My wife fell asleep during Big Show and Cass, woke up, and the Randy Orton match was over as well.
Yeah.
It was like she woke up and it's like in Randy Orton's music she was hitting, and she thought it was the entrance. I was like, no, the match is over now.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah, because I had to get caught up a little bit, and I was just like, whoa, I was like, did I really fast forward through that match? But yeah, I guess it was that quick to where I didn't even realize it. The bad here, Rusev truly loses whatever momentum he had, right? I mean, what very little momentum that he had at this point.
I don't know. With him, it's so confusing because obviously you had the time when he was still sort of recovering from the injury, and he got switched over to SmackDown, and he was like, I want a title shot at Summer. It was like our Money in the Bank. It was all the build up for that. It was like, then he got a match with John Cena, and you're like, oh, he's got to win this. It was like, it's like Rusev's got to start getting pushed back up to the top of the roster. Nope. Down is like loses the flag match to John Cena. You're like, all right. He's like, he's got Randy Orton. Randy Orton's got the prestige of John Cena, just about equal. It's like Rusev gets a victory at SummerSlam. It's like he can get right back and start climbing back up there. It's like, and he gets a cheap shot attack on Randy Orton, and the match starts with an RKO and it's over. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like there's a little bit because it's like we know we've got the California connection. Is like, and I know that they're big on Rusev, and we know a guy, Marcus Mack, who's good friends with Rusev, and I know that I'm pretty sure it's like he would be a little bit disgusted, kind of in the way that Rusev's been treated in WWE.
And I've noticed that since Lana is no longer by his side, that seems like he just kind of has lost something as well. And we chose that as the ugly. The fact that whenever Rusev is coming out the ring now, he's no longer accompanied by the beautiful Ravishing Russian Lana. So her presence is sorely missed. I'm quite sure you will agree with me on that, right, Dale?
Yeah, it was like, again, I think WWE was trying to see what Rusev could be without Lana, because obviously it was like when he's had Lana, it's like the crowd always wants to, it's like, we want Lana chance, instead of paying attention to Rusev. Mm-hmm. So you split him off and you see what happens. It's like, but this is what we have with Rusev right now. Is like, and he feels like a guy that kind of needs the manager. Yeah.
So now moving on here for this one, as I said, you would have needed a shot of caffeine or some coffee or something to make it through this one, because this was just, there's not exciting at all. Big Show taking on Big Cass. So the good for this one is basically Big Cass, the new, giant that's kind of like on the rise on the Raw roster. He goes over in this match. Dale, your thoughts?
Well, maybe on the rise. This feud, I don't know if it's doing anybody any good.
Good point.
Big Show's got the long tenured careers, and so that it makes sense. Is like put Big Cass with Big Show. Like Big Show did wonders for Braun Strowman. Mm-hmm. He right now ain't doing anything to help out Big Cass, though.
Good point.
So that was that's just one of the things that I've noticed is like Braun Strowman was elevated with his match with Big Show on Monday Night Raw. It's like it was kind of one of the top matches that we've seen on WWE Raw. We haven't seen anything that stands out between Big Show and Cass yet.
Yeah, no, that's some very legit points you're making there. I mean, about the only positive, besides what I tried to say there is that he is at least getting a spot on a major pay-per-view. So who knows? Let's see if this winds up going somewhere positive for him. But the bad in this one, my goodness, like I said, this was an absolute snooze fest of a match. Even Enzo up there in the cage couldn't, like even with all of his little silly antics, couldn't make this one enjoyable. Dale, you agree?
Literally, my wife, like I said, fell asleep. You said snooze fest exactly. It's like I tweeted out, it's like a bunch of Z's on a tweet about this match. It's like, I also know that's like I think it was kind of coming up was like when you were still dealing with some technical issues. It's like and basically it's like we worked through the technical issues through most of this match, but I don't think we missed anything.
Nope.
It's like except for the big what the hell was the end of that match with our ugly of this thing, Enzo Amore deciding to take off his damn clothes, put some oil on to squeeze through some the bars and escape the shark cage. And I was like, and it's a talent that we've watched on Lucha Underground. Is like, so I don't want to steal your thunder of who we was trying to impersonate there.
Newsflash, Enzo Amore. Guess what? You're not Joey Ryan, man. Keep your clothes on, and we don't need to see you pouring a damn, was it baby oil or whatever? I think it was about baby oil smearing all over himself in order to get himself out of the cage. We don't need to see all that, man. You're a hairy dude. Keep your clothes on. I want to see it at least. Yeah, so moving on here to the next match. We had Naomi, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion, taking on the challenger, Natalya. So the good for this one is Natty is victorious, and she receives her first title run in 6 years. So props to her for getting that title. Dale, what do you guys say about that?
Absolutely, and I hope she takes that garbage glow crap off that championship and makes it look like a thing that's supposed to be an honorable championship and not a toy that's for someone going on Halloween or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you don't do that to titles. I wasn't a fan of like when they used to have the spinner belts and all that stuff. Like when Cena was the Doctor of Thugonomics and all that. Never have been a fan of stuff like that. The custom titles, that's different. Kind of like the Smoking Skull belt, and all that stuff. But yeah. So now the bad of this one is, why did it take so long for this to happen? Why did Natty kind of flounder around for so many years for it to finally happen now? Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. It's like she's always been considered the workhorse of the women's division. It's like the woman that everybody wants to work with because she's going to elevate their game. But that was just the kind of thing. Is like she was just the one that was always on the opposite end of actually winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised. It was like the thing that I thought was going to happen tonight. That was like she was going to win. It was like she was going to get her name is like in the books for winning the championship, and Carmella was going to cash in and take it from her. It was like, and she wasn't going to get a reign. We'll see how long it lasts. But I do. It was, and I'm kind of glad that she was able to at least walk out of SummerSlam completely as the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yes, and the ugly, as you already alluded to, yes. Naomi basically turned the WWE SmackDown Live Women's Championship into a glow-in-the-dark toy, like Pumbaa and Scrappy and Boo Boo could have possibly played with or something. You got anything to add to that?
No, that was just the thing. It was like I was dead set. There was nothing going to be uglier to me than that championship. It's like, and that was the 100% reason why I wanted Natalya. Obviously, Natalya deserves it. Is like for the time that she's put into the business. Mm-hmm. But I just want that damn championship to go back to a championship that looks prestigious.
Yes, amen. I can agree with you on that one. So now we're going to get to the first match of the show. John Cena, who took on ever declining Baron Corbin. So the good for this one was we basically said we're glad that we got this one out of the way, first early on in the show, and that it was the opener because this really did not do much for either one of us, right?
No, I was very surprised that John Cena goes. Obviously, we know John Cena, 16-time world champion, and he's opening SummerSlam against Baron Corbin. This was pretty lackluster in terms of matches that you kind of look at, or what is supposed to be designed as the match to start the show.
Yeah.
Compared to what was the first match of NXT Brooklyn 3 last night. It was like John Cena and Baron Corbin did not start off SummerSlam on a good note. And that's why I think it took a while for kind of SummerSlam to build to like to the middle of the card and to the finish because it did not get off to a good start.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what leads us into the bad here is that John Cena did win is like, and now you've got Baron Corbin, just like Rusev. He was the Money in the Bank contract.
Yeah.
And now he is like, he's wiped clean. It's like, he gets rolled up on SmackDown Live by genders, like loses it in a heartbeat, and then loses to John Cena at SummerSlam. And now you're like, what do we got? It's like more young talent here that's sitting behind Randy Orton and John Cena.
But I will say this, because from what I've read, there's some serious heat on Baron Corbin backstage. And, I just got to quote Coach Herman Edwards, one of my coworkers over there at ESPN, how he says, think before you hit send on social media, because I saw some of those tweets that he was sending to some of these people, including Dave Meltzer, who is someone who you do not want to be on the wrong side of. And, people noticed this stuff and they were not happy with it. Now, there could be more to it than that, but that is one of the definitive reasons I've heard that they actually chose to make that decision. They don't like for their guys to be on social media heckling back and forth, and not only like fans, but also the writers, the people who review the matches and all that stuff. So moving on here.
We've seen it before with the Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's had numerous pushes slowed because he opened his mouth up about something stupid on Twitter. So
yes, exactly. So now moving on to the ugly of this match. That choke slam backbreaker combo, though. John nearly got broken in half by that one. You were the one who pointed it out to me. And then once I got cut up and I was like, oh, damn. I was like, yeah, that's something serious right there. What's your thoughts on that, Dale?
Yeah, it wasn't a complete dislike of the move, but it was the biggest move of the match. It's like you kind of see, it's like Baron goes for the choke slam. It's like he ends up having his hand in the chest of John Cena by the end of it, and then throws it down into the backbreaker, and you kind of see John takes the knee into the back, but then kind of rolls up onto his neck and your shoulders, and that's kind of like, you're like, oh, it's like he already has taken a couple bad bumps thanks to Shinsuke Nakamura. It's like in the last couple of weeks on his neck, so that's kind of where you kind of look at that and you're like, you can kind of see semi-bad. It's like I thought it was a pretty good move, but it almost felt like maybe John gave Baron a little bit too much help there because he took off on it and then came back down. So
yeah, he got launched by him and then he damn near got split in half. All right, Dale, we've arrived to your favorite portion of the program here. On the no gimmick scale from 1 to 5, what do you give WWE Summerslam 2017?
Well, I'll say this is probably going to be the easiest one because I can't go above a 3. So it's like I don't really have to think about it. NXT Brooklyn 3, which I misgraded, should have been higher. Because I know that you went a lot higher than a 3 on it. I feel like second thought I probably should have went a little bit higher, but because I didn't, so I can't take SummerSlam past the 3.
All right. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and settle on a 3-5. My reason being there were some shiny moments in this, including the I really liked Finn making his triumphant return as the Demon King. I love the reunion of the show and them winning the tag titles. The main event was just awesome, and I got to go back and check out some of the stuff from the pre-show as well. It sounds like there were a couple of good matches to offer on that. But yeah, there definitely was, the snooze fest, and then there was a couple of disappointments. I wasn't really a big fan of the ending of the Jinder Mahal Shinsuke Nakamura match. So yeah, I say 3-5 on this one, and I'm not going to go any higher than that. So thank you for joining us for this edition of No Gimmicks Podcast for our Good, the Bad, and the Ugly review of SummerSlam 2017. We are No Gimmicks, No Image, all wrestling, all the time. Please subscribe to our official YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/the No Gimmicks Podcast. Make sure that you subscribe publicly so that way we are aware of your support. Also, check out Craig Perkins' article, Around the Ring and Back Again, on ProWrestling.com. We would like to hear from our viewers, so please leave us some feedback in our comment section. Also, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at the No Gimmicks PC. Remember, sharing is caring. Feel free to share the links to our episodes with other professional wrestling fans and on your social media accounts as well. That does it for this episode of No Gimmicks Podcast on the 3 and Out Radio Network. For my tag team partner Dale Clifford in Fernley, Nevada, this is Todd Smith in Bristol, Connecticut signing off. Until next time around, y'all take care.